Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for this press briefing on Prime Minister's visit to the United States. We have with us Foreign Secretary Shri Vikram Mishri to brief us on this Prime Minister's visit. We also joined by Ambassador of India to the United States, Shri Vinay Quatra, as also by Shri Nagaraj Naidu, Additional Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs. With that, I invite Foreign Secretary to begin his opening remarks. So over to you.
Thank you, Randir. Good evening, all, and thank you for waiting. I know it is past the appointed time, but Prime Minister has just, concluded a very substantive and productive visit to the United States at the invitation of President Donald Trump. As you all know, this is Prime Minister's first visit after the first visit to the United States after the inauguration of President Trump for a second term. And as I had mentioned earlier as well, the fact that this visit is taking place within just 3 weeks and a bit of the inauguration is a signal of the priority that both leaders attach to the India-US relationship. Prime Minister arrived in Washington, D.C. yesterday evening. He was hosted at Blair House, and he had a number of engagements on arrival yesterday. The newly confirmed Director of National Intelligence, Ms. Tulsi Gabbard, paid a call on the Prime Minister. This morning, the Prime Minister received Mr. Elon Musk and Mr. Vivek Ramaswamy as well. The discussions at the White House began this afternoon and went on for nearly 4 hours, comprising discussions in a restricted format, in the press conference, and an extended discussion over dinner with larger delegations. The discussions covered a lot of ground. The entire gamut of the relationship, ranging from strategic and security cooperation, defense, trade and economic engagement, technology, energy security, and people-to-people linkages, as well as regional and global issues of concern were dealt with. There is a joint statement that has been issued. I think it's not yet available online, so let me take you through some of the key aspects of the joint statement, but I would urge you to go through the joint statement in some detail because it's a really rich and substantive statement and lays down the blueprint for the near and medium-term future of the India-US relationship. The two leaders jointly launched the US-India Compact for the 21st century. This compact stands for catalyzing opportunities in military partnership, accelerated commerce and technology. In the area of trade and investment, for instance, the leaders launched Mission 500, aiming to more than double total two-way trade to $500 billion by 2030. The two leaders also announced plans to negotiate the first tranche of a mutually beneficial multi-sector bilateral trade agreement by the fall of 2025 towards advancing this process. And this issue did figure in some detail in the discussions as well. Both countries will take an integrated approach to strengthen bilateral trade across the goods and services sector. This will include themes such as increasing market access, reducing tariff and non-tariff barriers, and deepening supply chain integration between the two countries. There is also a renewed commitment to making greenfield investments in high-value industries in each other's countries. And you will see in the joint statement references to investments in excess of $7 billion made by Indian companies such as Novelis, Jindal Steelworks, Jubilant, and Epsilon. Defense, as was pointed out by both leaders, remains a very important area of cooperation in the strategic partnership between the two countries. The leaders announced plans to finalize a new 10-year framework for the US-India major defense partnership in the 21st century. This is a framework that will run from 2025 to 2035 and is expected to be finalized later this year. They also agreed to move forward on ongoing defense procurement negotiations for a number of platforms, including land and air systems, as well as co-production agreements. There was also agreement to initiate discussions on the reciprocal defense procurement agreement. One of the striking aspects of the joint statement in this regard is a process that the United States will begin, whereby it will review its arms transfer regulations, including the international traffic in arms regulations, in order to streamline defense trade, technology exchange, and maintenance, spare supplies, and in-country repair and overhaul of US-provided defense systems. The two countries have also launched the Autonomous Systems Industry Alliance to scale industry partnerships and production of autonomous systems, which will foster next-generation defense and technological collaboration, specifically in the field of underwater domain awareness. You're also aware that for the last several years, technology has become a motive of the India-US partnership. And the two leaders in this latest round of discussions committed to taking forward cooperation in critical and emerging technologies by launching the US-India Trust Initiative. The Trust Initiative stands for Transforming the Relationship Utilizing Strategic Technology. This initiative will catalyze collaboration among governments, academia, and the private sector to drive innovation in defense, artificial intelligence, semiconductors, quantum computing, biotechnology, energy, and space. Artificial intelligence is on everybody's mind. We just had the AI Action Summit in Paris, which the Prime Minister had co-chaired. And in today's discussions, the leaders committed to bring Indian and US private industry together and conclude a US-India roadmap on accelerating AI infrastructure by the end of the year. Both the countries will work together to enable industry partnerships and investments in next generation data centers, on access to compute and processors for artificial intelligence. The two leaders launched Indus Innovation, a new innovation bridge that is modeled after the successful Indus X platform for defense applications. Indus Innovation is meant to focus on space, on energy, and other emerging technologies. A new US-India cooperative program to recover and process critical minerals, a strategic mineral recovery initiative, has also been launched. Under the Trust Initiative, incidentally, the two sides will also address export controls, enhance high technology commerce, and reduce barriers to technology transfer between the two countries. In the energy area, this is a subject that has remained in focus in the bilateral relationship in the recent years. India is a significant buyer of US energy. And today's discussions covered a lot of ground on this particular subject. In order to ensure energy security, the two countries agreed to work together on the production of hydrocarbons and for commerce in hydrocarbons to support global energy price stability and secure affordable energy access. In addition, there was agreement to realize the potential in the area of civil nuclear energy, building US-designed nuclear reactors in India, and taking forward that process also through large-scale localization as well as technology transfer. And of course, the two countries have been discussing for some time cooperation in small modular reactors, and that is again something that was flagged today. The obstacles in realizing this cooperation in previous years on account of some of the legal provisions that have remained in place in India have already begun to be addressed. You would have noticed the announcements that have been made in the budget in this regard. And we imagine that these progress on these issues will enable us to realize the promise of cooperation between India and the United States in this very important sector. A new partnership has been launched between the US National Science Foundation and the brand new Indian Anusandhan, which is the National Research Foundation, for deepening research linkages in critical and emerging technologies. There's an MOU that was signed between the NSF and the ANRF just a couple of days back to take forward this cooperation. On the people-to-people front, finally, you're aware there are nearly 300,000 Indian students studying in the United States, and the contribution of these students, especially to the US economy, was acknowledged in the joint statement. The leaders agreed to strengthen collaboration between higher education institutions of the two countries, and India invited the United States to take advantage of the reforms in the Indian education sector to set up offshore campuses of premier educational institutions of the US in India. They also committed to streamline avenues for legal mobility of students and professionals, and facilitating short-term tourist and business travel, while at the same time committing to aggressively addressing and tackling illegal immigration and human trafficking. I would also invite your attention to the parts of the joint statement where you can see a commitment from both sides to take decisive action against elements who threaten public and diplomatic safety and security, and the sovereignty and territorial integrity of both nations. There's a commitment to strengthening law enforcement cooperation in this regard. And this is especially significant from our perspective, given some events that have taken place. Last point relates to the deepening strategic convergences between the two countries on regional and global issues. And this is something that came through clearly in the discussions today between the Prime Minister and President Trump, whether it is the shared vision for the Quad. India will be hosting the Quad Summit later this year, and the Prime Minister has extended an invitation to President Trump for that. Or the commitment to increasing our collaboration with partners in West Asia, or in enhancing cooperation in the Indian Ocean region. The two leaders agreed to convene partners under the IMEC initiative, as well as the I2U2 construct within the next 6 months to announce new initiatives. They also launched the Indian Ocean Strategic Venture, a new bilateral forum to advance coordinated investments in connectivity and commerce in this region. All in all, I would say that though short, this was an extremely substantive and productive visit. It allowed two leaders who know each other well, who are comfortable with each other, to renew their contacts from President Trump's first term, and to commit themselves to greater things in the relationship. The mood in the room today and the overall environment of the meetings today lent great confidence to both sides that the relationship is on a solid footing, and there is much to achieve in the coming months and years. Let me stop there and take a few questions.
We have time just for a few questions, so please bear it with us. Yoshita.
Thank you. Yoshita Singh with Press Trust of India. On the issue of the deportation of illegal immigrants, was that issue raised the way they were brought to India in the military aircraft and shackled? And what was the Trump administration response on that? And also on Tahavur Rana, is there a time frame or timeline by when he will be extradited to India? Thank you.
Sukhpal, yeah, please.
Sukhpal Singh Thanoa. If you don't mind, can I ask you in Hindi? It will be easy for my audience to understand what I am going to ask.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Sir, my question nahi hai, this is a concern for both the countries. In present situation, as we saw a major shift in US immigration policy, तो इंडिया ने सबसे पहले वेलकम किया कि अगर वो हमारे लोगों को डिपोर्ट करते हैं जो इलीगल आए हैं यहाँ, तो उनको हम वापस लेने के लिए तैयार है. इन दिस सिचुएशन अगर कभी आने वाले समय में, क्योंकि अब तो मीटिंग हो चुकी है और भी बातें चलती रहेंगी, अगर हम अमेरिका में देखें तो यहाँ जो फार्मर्स हैं वो ज्यादातर कैलिफोर्निया में सिख फार्मर है, इंडियन फार्मर्स हैं, और जो यहाँ की ट्रकिंग इंडस्ट्री है वो डोमिनेट करती है बाय सिख्स और पंजाबीज. तो इन दोनों जगहों पे प्रेजेंट सिचुएशन में बहुत जरूरत होगी अमेरिका को, जो अगर वहाँ से इंडिया से हम लीगल वे से नहीं भेज सकते तो सीजनल लेबर जो है वहाँ से ट्रकिंग इंडस्ट्री एंड रिलेटेड टू फार्मर्स, तो वहाँ से अगर ये पॉसिबल हो सके दोनों देश आपस में बात करें, दैट विल बी विन विन सिचुएशन फॉर बोथ द कंट्रीज. थैंक यू सो मच.
Parikshit.
We saw how President Trump said that US is going to increase military sales to India by billions of dollars this year, also paving the way for sale of F-35s to India eventually. Have we agreed to purchase F-35s from America?
Vishnu, yeah.
Good evening, Foreign Secretary. This is Vishnu from South Asian Herald. What is the expected timeline for bilateral trade agreements between the two administrations that can pave a way to reduce the trade deficit and promote a fair and expanded trade partnership? The second question is, given the ongoing frictions on trade and tariffs, do you believe the Quad, I2U2, and IMEC will serve as a unifying factor between the both administrations? Thank you.
So I think let's collect all the questions and
Okay.
I'll do it in one.
Okay. Please.
Sam Shubhendu from DT India. How is India to interpret President Trump's statement on India's neighborhood, Bangladesh?
Okay. Question here, yeah, please.
Yeah. Well, my question.
Just hang on.
Yeah.
Can you repeat your Bangladesh question?
So how is India to interpret President Trump's statement on the situation in Bangladesh? He said that I leave it to the Prime Minister.
How is India going to respond to President Trump's proposal that he could mediate between India and China over territorial disputes and skirmishes?
Sriram.
President Trump spoke about reciprocal tariffs at a press conference. Is it your understanding that these will be on hold until the trade deal with the US is negotiated? That's question one. And secondly, he mentioned reducing the deficit through energy purchases. Is India treating this literally, taking this literally, or as an encouragement to purchase more energy from the United States? Thank you.
Geeta.
President Trump on extradition said that Tahawur Rana will be extradited, but there are more to follow because there are many requests from India. Could you just tell us what are the requests from India? Are there any more names that you've given to the Americans?
Manish.
सर मैं मनीष हूँ TV9 भारतवर्ष से प्रेसिडेंट ट्रम्प उदाहरण दे रहे थे कि बहुत से जो अमेरिकन प्रोडक्ट है उस पर 30-40% से लेकर 70% तक टैरिफ है उन्होंने अमेरिकन कार का हवाला दिया तो क्या हम भारत की तरफ से इस पर एक कोई जस्टिफिकेशन दिया गया या फिर हम अमेरिका को कोई रियायत देने के लिए जा रहे हैं
Please.
Chidu Rajkata, Times of India. FS, can you give us a sense of what you thought of the very discordant note throughout the day President Trump struck on the tariff issue? He mentioned it several times. And also his smackdown on BRICS.
So you can take these questions.
He also kind of said something to the effect of BRICS is dead or dying.
Let me try and address. I think some of the questions and concerns are common, but insofar as the issue of illegal immigration is concerned, yes, it did figure during the discussions today, and the Prime Minister said, as I think he mentioned during the press conference as well, and, during the discussions also he said that India has made its stand very clear that if there are illegal immigrants proven to be Indian citizens in any country abroad, we will take them back. But he did emphasize, and again, I think he referred to this in his remarks at the press conference, but even during the discussions, he did emphasize that the return of illegal immigrants is not the end of the story. There is an ecosystem that thrives on this racket and that promotes and enables this racket. And it is the responsibility of both countries to do something about this. And in that, he sought the cooperation of the United States in finding out more details about these rackets, and if need be, through institutional cooperation between the law enforcement authorities and intelligence organizations of the two countries, to actually try and do something about these ecosystems that enable this particular phenomenon. So this is something that the two sides will continue to discuss. On Tahawur Rana, I think I addressed this in an earlier press conference as well. This is an issue on which the US authorities have taken very clear decisions. I think you've seen the president announce it himself from the White House podium, the decision of the United States to extradite him. It's reflected there in the joint statement as well. We are working on the logistics of this, his surrender and extradition to India. There are a few final steps to be completed. The two sides are in touch on this particular issue. आपका जो प्रश्न था अमेरिका की जो इमिग्रेशन पॉलिसी है उसको लेके, और जो यहाँ पे एक इंडस्ट्री है ट्रकिंग वगैरह को लेके, उसमें जो सीजनल, क्या उसमें सीजनल लेबर इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है। देखिए, जहाँ तक यहाँ पे ये लेबर किस तरह आ सकता है और इनकी इमिग्रेशन पॉलिसी के साथ कैसे फिट करता है, ये तो अमेरिका की नीतियों का सवाल है। तो वो अगर ऐसी नीति बनाए और हमारे पास ये गुंजाइश हो ऐसे लोगों को भेजने की, तो उसमें कोई आपत्ति नहीं होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि एक तरह से ये लीगल मोबिलिटी होगी। और हमने हमेशा कहा है कि हम लीगल मोबिलिटी के पक्ष में हैं, हमें लीगल मोबिलिटी के खिलाफ हैं। लेकिन अगर लीगल मोबिलिटी है, अगर किसी देश की कोई नीति है और उस नीति के तहत लोग वहां पे जाते हैं, बाकायदा वीजा लेके जाते हैं या वर्क परमिट लेके जाते हैं, तो उसमें कोई आपत्ति नहीं होनी चाहिए। तो आगे के आने वाले समय में अगर ऐसी गुंजाइश हुई तो इसके बारे में जरूर दोनों देशों के बीच में बातचीत की जा सकती है। Parikshit, your question on military sales to India, I think, look, there is a process by which platforms are acquired. You are well aware of that process. There is, in most cases, a request for proposals that is floated. There are responses to those. They are evaluated. I don't think with regard to the acquisition of an advanced aviation platform by India, that process has started as yet. So this is currently something that's at the stage of a proposal, but I don't think the formal process in this regard has started as yet. With regard to the timeline for the bilateral trade agreements, well, this issue was discussed today. There is an understanding that we will try and do it as quickly as possible. I think there is a reference in the joint statement by fall of this year. So we are looking at the next 7 to 8 months to get this done. And today, in a sense, both teams have got the instructions or the indications from the highest levels to start engaging on this, and the work will begin as quickly as possible. On the addressing these possible frictions over trade through mechanisms such as I2U2, IMEC, and Quad, yes, to the extent that some of those forums will facilitate trade, even though none of them is really a trade agreement or a preferential trading arrangement. But to the extent that they can increase understanding between the various partners, they would certainly be helpful. On what we make of the statement on Bangladesh, well, just to share with you that this was a subject that was discussed between the two leaders, and the Prime Minister shared his views and indeed his concerns with regard to recent developments in Bangladesh and how India sees the situation. I think we hope that the situation in Bangladesh will also move forward in a direction where we can pursue relations in a constructive and stable way with them. But there are concerns about that situation, and the Prime Minister shared those views with President Trump. On, I think, your question about the offer to mediate between India and China, I suspect you know the answer to this question. We have whatever issues we have with any of our neighbors. We have always adopted a bilateral approach to dealing with these issues. It's no different between India and China. We have been discussing any issues that we have with them on a bilateral plane, and we will continue to do so. On reciprocal tariffs and what the fate will be, look, we have indicated, and the two leaders have agreed today to start discussing trade and tariff related issues. So I will let those discussions start before pronouncing on what may happen with regard to the plans that have been announced today by the US administration. On reducing deficit through energy purchases, well, I mean, we are a significant purchaser of US energy in any case. I think last year we purchased about $15 billion in US energy output. There is a good chance that this figure will go up to as much as $25 billion in the near future. And so therefore we are a significant producer, and today's discussions did focus considerably on the possibility of more energy purchases. And it is entirely possible that these increased energy purchases will contribute to impacting the deficit between the two countries as well. On extradition, yes, there are other requests as well. I won't go into the names immediately, but there are other requests that are registered with the US authorities. I think the other questions were also essentially on tariffs, and I think Chidu's question on tariffs being a discordant note. Look, I would say that, you know, we've been hearing about tariffs for quite some time, and in today's discussion between the two sides, this issue came up quite normally in the talks between the two leaders. They both had their perspectives, but what's more remarkable is, or what's worth looking at, is the fact that we have a way forward on this issue in terms of the undertaking to discuss or start discussions on a bilateral trading agreement. And this may actually be a very good opportunity to take forward something and conclude something which was actually foreseen in the first Trump administration. There was, you would recall, a trade deal that was on the anvil at that time. For various reasons, it did not go forward at that time. So therefore, in the current environment, we see these developments as an opportunity to take this issue forward and come to a mutually beneficial understanding about these particular issues. I think that about takes care of all the questions. I literally have a plane to catch, therefore we'll have to run.
Please, sorry.
I think there's a flight to catch, so we'll close the
Prime
press
Minister
conference.
waiting.
Thank you.
Thank you very
all
much. Good afternoon, friends. Shall we begin this press briefing? I open the floor for questions. So we start from this side first. Keshav?
So, thank you. Good evening, Keshav from the Play. So I have two questions. Firstly, with regards to the Foreign Secretary's visit to Beijing, there was discussions on transporter river data being shared. So I just wanted to know if anything on the dam was raised during this meeting. And the second question is, how many Indian fishermen are currently in Sri Lankan prison, sir? given that there were reports about 30 fishermen arrested over the weekend, plus the incident with the 13 on Monday. So could you give us some clarity on that? Thank you.
ब्रह्म प्रकाश दुबे
Brahm.
मेरा सवाल है जिस तरह से डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने अभी ब्रिक्स को एक तरह से चेतावनी भरे लहजे में कहा है तो उसको लेकर इंडिया किस तरह से सोचता है डॉलर का व्यापार
Rishabh.
So, good evening, Keshav from Times Now. One, what Keshav asked during the Foreign Secretary's visit to Beijing, did we talk about the settlements that have been made in Aksai Chin area? A, and B, Sir, Donald Trump, while speaking to reporters on board from Florida to Washington, said that Prime Minister might be visiting Washington next month, starting tomorrow in February itself. Do we have any update on that?
मधुरेंद्र मैं न्यूज नेशन से। सर मेरा सवाल पीएम के फ्रांस दौरे को लेकर है कि उसकी क्या तैयारियां चल रही हैं, किस तरह के एजेंडे हैं, क्या राफेल को लेकर डील भी संभावित है जो कि हो सकती है, और साथ ही क्या प्रधानमंत्री के अमेरिका दौरे पर क्या कोई टिप्पणी करना चाहेंगे, वो क्या फिक्स हो गई है?
So this is Soumya Jaiswal from Republic TV. Two questions. One, what is the update on Tahir Rana's extradition? By when can we expect him in India? Second, the question regarding the Foreign Interference Commission report on the definitive foreign link in regards to the Nijjhar killing case. Now, the Canadian High Commission has gone on to say that the panel is not mandated to probe the killing. What are your comments on that? Thank you.
Okay. So first, Keshav, regarding Foreign Secretary's visit, you would have seen our press release. The press release is self-explanatory. It talks about trans-border issues were discussed, river issues were discussed. So I would leave it at that. Your second question regarding number of fishermen, we have been giving out the numbers at certain interval. I don't have the exact figure with me, but it is available in public domain. What I can tell you is that the last press release that was issued was in regard to 13 fishermen who were apprehended, and 5 of them also sustained injuries, 2 of them seriously, and thereafter we had to summon the Sri Lankan Acting High Commissioner here in Delhi to convey our strong protest on it. ब्रह्म प्रकाश, ब्रिक्स के लेके जो हमारा नजरिया है, पहले भी इस बात पर बात हो चुकी है। ब्रिक्स के अंदर जो भी डिसीजन लिया जाता है, जो भी तय किया जाता है, आपस में सब लोग मिलजुल कर एक कॉन्सेंसस के तहत किया जाता है। और जहां तक डॉलर का सवाल है, डी डॉलराइजेशन का सवाल जिसका आपने जिक्र किया, उसके बारे में हमारे विदेश मंत्री ने साफ कहा है कि हमारा कोई ऐसा स्ट्रेटजी और ऐसा कोई पॉलिसी नहीं है। Rishabh, see, Foreign Secretary's visit, I would refer you to the press release that we've issued. In fact, it is quite detailed. There are several areas which have been listed out, including people-to-people ties, also Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, also about the early meeting of the India-China expert-level mechanism for resumption of to discuss resumption of provision of hydrological data and trans-border river issues. There are several other things that have been listed out, including that the two sides will conduct a number of commemorative activities to mark this anniversary, as also specific concerns on economic and trade issues were also discussed. So I would refer you to our press release, which gives the sum and substance of what was discussed between the two sides. On Prime Minister's visit, your question, yes, Prime Minister and President Trump had a telephone conversation some days back recently. The two sides are working on an early visit of the Prime Minister to the United States to further deepen India-US comprehensive global strategic partnership, and specific dates for this visit are still being worked out and will be announced at the appropriate time. मधु, फ्रांस में AI समिट होने वाला है, जिसपे हम लोगों को फ्रांस के राष्ट्रपति की तरफ से न्योता आया है प्रधानमंत्री के लिए, हम लोगों ने जैसे बताया कि न्योता को स्वीकार किया गया है, तो वहां पर जो AI समिट में हमारे प्रधानमंत्री शामिल होंगे, उसके इस दौरे के बारे में विस्तृत जानकारी आपको जल्द ही प्रेस विज्ञप्ति के मामले से और उसके दिया जाएगा। तो मैं आपसे आग्रह करूंगा कि 2-4 दिन के बाद आपको और भी जानकारी इस पर प्राप्त होगी। Soumya, you had two questions. One was on the Tahawurana case. We would have seen that on 21st of January, the US Supreme Court declined a petition from the accused. With that, all roads, I mean, it looks that his appeal in the matter has been dismissed. We are now working with the US side on procedural issues for early extradition to India of the accused in the Mumbai terror attack. And
Sir, I have some information regarding few Indians missing in Iran. So if you have some more details about that, and also are we in touch with our Iranian friends? Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm William from CNN Taiwan. I would love to ask you, after the DeepSeek already shocked the world, and a few days ago, the IT department, Minister of IT department, they talked that India is already running our own AI model. So what do you think any cooperation between India and Taiwan can do?
Smita.
Smita Sharma. If there were plans of facilitating the visit of certain foreign diplomats in Delhi to Prayagraj for the Mahakumbh, is that still on? Has it been put on hold following the accident and tragedy? And any updates further in terms of the Indians who are missing in Russia, the issue that was raised, till has the death toll increased of the number of Indians who were serving in the Russian army?
Manas.
Manas from PTI. The press release that we issued after Foreign Secretary's visit to Beijing did not mention the border law. So is it that in fact the border issue will be discussed at the SR level talks only, and the diplomatic talks it will not be discussed? Can you give some clarity on that?
Okay, so I have 5 questions. So let's go one by one. Yeshi, first regarding the proposed visit. You see, all these high-level visits, they are decided based on the convenience of both sides. And as and when we have an update or something concrete to share, we do share with you. So similarly, in this particular case also, we will take the same approach. Siddhant, your question regarding missing Indians. 3 Indian nationals who had gone to Iran for business purposes, they are missing. They have gone missing. We are in touch with their family. We have taken up the matter with the Iranian embassy here and with the Iranian foreign ministry in Tehran. Both MEA and our embassy, we have strongly taken up the matter with the Iranian government so that we could relocate these people. We could see where they are, and so that we can render all assistance to them or to the family. These people had lost touch with their families soon after they landed in Tehran some time back. So I mean, it could be that I don't know, there could be private matters, but we have taken up the issue strongly, and hopefully we will get assistance from the Iranian authorities in locating these missing nationals. And we've also requested them to ensure their safety as well.
Where are they from?
There are 3 of them. They're from different parts of India, and we are in touch with their families as well. William, your question on AI, of course, we have our own program and we want to further develop that. And in that regard, we are in touch with several of our partners with whom we engage on technology issues, technology collaboration, and we would like to further strengthen them. Yes, tomorrow, I think I understand diplomats will be visiting Kumbh. The number of people who are joining, we'll share more details with you as and when we have. That we'll have to wait for tomorrow when these people will be going to visit the Mahakumbh in Prayagraj. On Indians missing in Russia, we had said that out of the 18 people, 16 who've gone missing, we are in touch with the Russian authorities who have been declared to be missing to look for them. And of those 2 people, one was injured. Hopefully he's recovering and he'll be back soon. And the other, in regard to the other person, we are in touch with the Russian authorities. So, the status remains what I had conveyed to you last time in regard to the number of people serving in Russian army issue was discussed. And we had a question from Manas. Manas, again, all the issues that were discussed have been put very well in the press release. In fact, I am also carrying a copy of that press release here. So I would request you to please go through it. It has several issues are discussed there. And when we, these FS level talks, it's also about discussing all bilateral issues in a comprehensive manner. So that would indicate the answer for your question. Vijay?
So there have been media reports in UK that claims that government, the Home Ministry of UK was, in its report has claimed that Hindu extremism is also a cause of concern, a threat, and they have placed this in Hindu extremism or Hindutva extremism on the sides of Islamist extremism and also the Palestinian extremism. So you have any comment on that?
Divya?
Sir, Divya from the Indian Express. There were several extradition requests that India had sent to Canada. Have there been any forward movement or any communication on those requests?
Jessica?
Jessica Vaneja for DD India. Given the current circumstances, is the Indian government concerned about the economic situation in Maldives?
Shivam?
Thanks, Shivam Patel from Reuters. After speaking to President Donald Trump, President Donald Trump told reporters after speaking to Prime Minister Modi that he will do what's right in terms of illegal immigration. Is there any update on that and what Mr.
कादम्बिनी शर्मा फ्रॉम एनडीटीवी। सर, कांगो को लेकर विदेश मंत्रालय का क्या असेसमेंट है? कितने भारतीय वहां पर फंसे हुए हैं और जो सेना की टुकड़ी वहां पर है उसके बारे में कोई जानकारी अगर हो?
So, Abhishek, coming to your matter regarding UK, we have seen some reports on this particular matter. The nature of the separatist and extremist threat out of UK is well known. It should not be condoned and falsely equated. So that is our response to your question. Divya, on the extradition request, we have several. I beg your pardon, but I don't have the exact number with me right now, but we have spoken about it. The number of, I think it's 26 extradition requests which are pending. There has been, I don't have any update to share with you. Jessica, regarding your question on Maldives, we remain in close touch with Maldivian authorities on the situation facing them. Recent agreements that are likely to result in revenue loss for the Maldives government are obviously a matter of concern and do not bode well for the long-term fiscal stability of the country. We would obviously need to take that into account while framing our own policies. On illegal migration, last week I had stated our position very clearly. India is firmly opposed to illegal migration, especially as it is linked to other forms of organized crime. As part of India-US migration and mobility cooperation, both sides are engaged in a process to deter illegal migration, while also creating more avenues for legal migration from India to the US. We are keen to continuing this cooperation. At the same time, Government of India would need to do the required verification, including nationality of the concerned individuals before they are deported to India. Any talk of numbers, you've seen there's a lot of talk about numbers. Any talk of numbers at this stage is premature. But I do want to emphasize that cooperation between India and the US is strong and effective in this domain. This will be evident in times to come. कदमनी डेमोक्रेटिक रिपब्लिक कॉन्गो में वहाँ पर हम लोगों ने देखा कि कुछ शहरों में, कुछ हिस्सों में वहाँ पर संघर्ष चल रहा है. डेमोक्रेटिक रिपब्लिक ऑफ कॉन्गो में करीबन 25,000 भारतीय नागरिक रहते हैं. जहाँ लड़ाई चल रही थी, अभी 2 दिन से मेरे ख्याल से लड़ाई वहाँ रुका हुआ है. गोमा शहर में कोई 1001 भारतीय नागरिक थे. उसमें से ज़्यादातर लोग वहाँ से सुरक्षित निकल गए हैं. हमारे एम्बेसी ने कई एक एडवाइजरी भी जारी की है और साथ में हेल्पलाइन नंबर भी दिए हैं ताकि किसी को कुछ मुश्किलात हो तो उनसे तुरंत संपर्क बनाए. और हमारे दूतावास किंशासा में काफ़ी दूर है, गोमा शहर से कोई 1500-2000 किलोमीटर काफ़ी दूर है, 2500 किलोमीटर दूर है. उनसे समुदाय से लगातार संपर्क में है और कोई भी व्यवस्था अभी तक हमारे पास जो खबर है, हमारे जितने नागरिक हैं वहाँ सब सुरक्षित हैं और हमारे समुदाय के साथ हमारी जो एम्बेसी है लगातार संपर्क बनाए हुई है. जहाँ तक भारतीय सैनिक जो यूएन में काम करते हैं उनका प्रश्न है, करीबन 1200 लोग वहाँ पर जो यूएन मिशन चल रहा है मुनुस्को, उसके तहत 1200 भारतीय सैनिक वहाँ हैं और वो उनका भी हाल ठीक है, सब लोग सुरक्षित हैं और उनके संदर्भ में हम यूनाइटेड नेशन के साथ लगातार टच में हैं और वहाँ पर जो गतिविधियां चल रही है उस पर उसके साथ बातचीत कर रहे हैं. Can we have more questions then? Rishikesh?
Sir, Rishikesh from PTI. So, Home Advisor of Bangladesh has stated that they will seek to scrap the existing border agreement when DG level discussions happen between BGP and BSF. Any comments on that? And my second question is regarding the FS level talks in China. So, have we delinked our border issues with China from trade and other diplomatic relationships? As the Army Chief on 13th of this month, January, mentioned that India and China are still in a degree of standoff. So can we consider our ties with China to be normal
now? Thank you, sir. Another question about Bangladesh. Pakistan's foreign minister is paying a visit to Dhaka next month, and there were some reports of a recent visit by the Pakistani ISI chief to Dhaka. And my question is, does India have any view or concerns on growing diplomatic or potential defense ties between these two countries? And if so, what are they? Thank you.
Neeraj.
सर, बांग्लादेश ने भारत के साथ जो सीमा पर समझौते हैं उनमें से कुछ समझौतों को असमान बताते हुए उसे खत्म करने की मांग भी की है। और दूसरा सर, अभी विदेश मंत्रालय के अतिरिक्त सचिव जो कि नेपाल गए थे, वहां पे वार्ता हुई है उनकी, और वहां पर जो सीमा कार्य समूह है उसकी बैठक कई समय से नहीं हुई है, तो उसको फिर से शायद सक्रिय करने पर बात हुई है, तो उसके बारे में क्या जानकारी?
Okay. First, Rishikesh, your question regarding the comments made by the Home Advisor. See, the DG level talks between BSF and the border guard Bangladesh are scheduled from February 17th to 20th, 2025, next month in Delhi, during which all border-related issues are proposed to be discussed. We expect all mutually agreed MOUs and agreements, I would say, to be honored. These form the basis for structured engagements between India and Bangladesh, in fact, between the border guarding forces of the two countries, and these facilitate creation of mutually beneficial security and trade infrastructure along the border. So our point is we'll be having talks between the BSF and BGB in February, and we expect all mutually agreed MOUs and agreements to be honored. On the standoff, we had clarified, Rishikesh, that there is, on this particular issue, we had talked about EM's own statement, so I would refer you to look at that. As far as the Foreign Secretary's visit is concerned, this was a Foreign Secretary level visit, which we have with several countries. And during the visit, all issues of mutual concern were discussed in a comprehensive manner. John, insofar as developments in our neighborhood, we always keep a close watch on what's happening, and we do take appropriate measures to safeguard our interests. नीरज, नेपाल में अभी हमारे एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी जो नेपाल को देखते हैं, उनकी वहाँ का दौरा हुआ है, और उस दरमियान उन्होंने काफ़ी वहाँ पर जो उनके आलाधिकारी हैं उनसे बातचीत हुई, और कि नेपाल और भारत के रिश्ते को किस प्रकार से और प्रगाढ़ और मजबूत किया जाए, और अन्य चर्चाओं पे बातचीत हुई है। इसके बारे में कुछ और भी आपने जो टेक्निकल जानकारी मांगी, उसका जवाब मेरे पास नहीं है, लेकिन मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि दोनों देशों के बीच में रिश्ते मजबूत और अच्छे हैं, और हम इन रिश्तों को और मजबूत करना चाहते हैं। और इसी के संदर्भ में ये जो दौरा हुआ था एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी का, अभी कार्यभार उन्हें संभाला है, वो नेपाल गए थे ताकि वहाँ पर आला अधिकारी से बात करके किस प्रकार से इस रिश्ते को और आगे ले जाना है, इस पर बातचीत हो सके। With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the close of this session. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, friends. Let's start this press briefing. I open the floor for questions. Let's begin with Siddhant there.
Sir, I'm Siddhant from CNN News 18. Sir, in UK, there were disruption caused by Khalistani forces in some of the theaters. Even film emergency has been removed from those theaters after the protest from the Khalistani group. How do you look at this development? Thank you.
Uma?
Sir, I just want to know what is the real number of the Indians who are likely to be deported from the US after Trump's EU?
Aishi?
So this is Ayushi Agarwal from ANI. So there are some reports and videos of terrorist Pannu circulating on social media where he was seen at Donald Trump's inauguration ceremony. If you can confirm that, and if we have raised that with USA. And one more question: during the Foreign Secretary's visit to China, will the issues like visa and direct air connectivity would come up?
Yeshi?
This is Yeshi Seli from Business India. This is about the 8th Naval Veteran in Qatar. I believe Qatari authorities have re-examined some charges, and there's a case coming up on the 29th. What does that mean? Is he going to be tried again, or is the Indian government trying to get him back? And also about the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, have China begun to issue visas for people interested to go from India?
सर प्रणय उपाध्याय अमर उजाला से। बांग्लादेश और भारत की सीमा पे हाल ही में काफी टेंशन की रिपोर्ट्स आई हैं, दोनों तरफ से ग्रामीणों में पथराव भी हुआ इस मामले को लेकर। बॉर्डर फेंसिंग को लेकर क्या प्रोग्रेस है और क्या बांग्लादेश सरकार के साथ इस मामले में कोई रेजोल्यूशन हुआ है? साथ ही बांग्लादेश में रिसेंटली एक पाकिस्तानी मिलिट्री डेलीगेशन है जिसके अंदर आईएसआई के ऑफिशियल्स भी हैं। पाकिस्तान और बांग्लादेश के बीच बढ़ते हुए मिलिट्री कोऑपरेशन और खास तौर पर जो JF-17 और एयरक्राफ्ट खरीद को लेकर चल रहा है, उसको भारत किस तरीके से देख रहा है?
Okay, Livia, can we come back to you? Okay, Siddhant, first your question regarding UK developments in UK. You would have seen, and we have also seen several reports on how the film Emergency, which was being screened in several halls, was being obstructed. We consistently raise concerns with the UK government regarding incidents of violent protests and intimidation by anti-India elements. Freedom of speech and expression cannot be applied selectively, and those obstructing it must be held accountable. We hope the UK side will take appropriate action against those responsible. Our mission, that is our High Commission in London, remains in touch, in regular communication with our community members for their safety and welfare. So we expect the UK side to take strong, appropriate action in this matter. Huma, your question regarding number of Indians, etc. See, India, we have made this clear earlier as well. We are against illegal immigration, especially because it is linked to several forms of organized crime. For Indians, not just in the United States, but anywhere in the world, if they are Indian nationals and they are overstaying or they are in a particular country without proper documentation, we will take them back, provided documents are shared with us so that we can verify their nationality, that they are indeed Indians. If that happens to be the case, then we will take things forward. We'll facilitate the return to India. Now, the question you talked about numbers, at this point in time, any talk about numbers is premature. Ayushi, in response to your query, whenever there is an anti-India activity, we take up such matters with the US government. So we will continue to raise such issues with the US government, which have a bearing on our security, which have an anti-India agenda. Regarding the upcoming visit of China of the Foreign Secretary, you would have seen that this visit is going to happen on 26th, 27th of January. Foreign Secretary will be meeting his counterpart, the Vice Minister in China, where all issues of bilateral interest will be discussed. This meeting flows from the understanding that the leaders reached in Kazan, and subsequent to that, we've had meetings of the special representatives, and we've had foreign minister level meeting as well. So please, once the discussions and talks happen, then you will get a readout of what was discussed, what issues were taken up, etc. But all issues of mutual interest will be discussed. Yeshi, on the 8th Naval Veteran, as I had informed you earlier, that there are certain requirements that he has to fulfill. As to the exact case, the technical details, I don't have an update, but now that you bring it to my attention, we will surely look into it and update you on the matter. Also, as I said, during the Foreign Secretary's visit, all matters of mutual interest will be discussed, and that would include, I guess, Kailash Mansarovar Yatra as well. Pranay, border fencing को लेके हमारे और बांग्लादेश के बीच में समझौते हुए हैं. बॉर्डर फेंसिंग इसलिए जरूरी है ताकि वहां पर जो अपराधी, जो क्राइम रिलेटेड जो इंसिडेंट्स होते हैं, उसको हम लोग बंद कर सके. बॉर्डर फेंसिंग के जो भी समझौते आज तक हुए हमारा ये मानना है कि बांग्लादेश उसको एक पॉजिटिव अप्रोच के साथ, कंस्ट्रक्टिव अप्रोच के साथ इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करेगा हमारे साथ, ताकि जिस प्रकार की गतिविधियां क्राइम को लेके, अपराध को लेके, ह्यूमन स्मगलिंग को लेके, कैटल स्मगलिंग को लेके जो चलता है बॉर्डर पे, एक क्राइम फ्री बॉर्डर बनाने की जो हम लोग की सोच है, उसको एक स्वरूप दिया जाए. ठीक है, लेकिन जो भी गतिविधि चल रही है फेंसिंग की वहां पर, वो दोनों देशों के बीच में जो समझौता हुआ है उसके मार्फत हो रही है. तो हम लोग का ये कहना है कि जो समझौता हुआ है उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए दोनों देशों को साथ मिलकर और एक कंस्ट्रक्टिव तरीके से, अप्रोच से आगे बढ़ना चाहिए. जो भी गतिविधियां हमारे पड़ोस में या हमारे क्षेत्र में भारत के इर्द गिर्द होता है, उस पर हम हमेशा एक पैनी नज़र बना के रखते हैं, और ऐसे गतिविधि खासकर जिसका ताल्लुक हमारे सिक्योरिटी सुरक्षा के साथ है, राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा के साथ है, उस पर हमारी नज़र रहती है, और जो जिस प्रकार का जो कदम उठाने हैं हमको, वो हम उठाएंगे. Livia, can we go to you?
Livia Rodriguez from Prensa Latina. We would like to know India's opinion on the decision of the new U.S. government to include Cuba once again on the list of alleged sponsors of terrorism, a decision without any basis, which also reinforces the illegal blockade against the Cuban people. Thank you.
Okay. Siddhant.
So Siddhant from Beyond. We saw an ISPR statement, Pakistan's ISPR, which said that Indian Army is being politicized. This is in response of what the Indian Army said, that there are terror activities in Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir linked with Pakistan.
Sir, the US president has made overtures to Russia asking for a deal on Ukraine. India has consistently called for dialogue and diplomacy. So would it be possible, to get a comment on how you view the new the overtures by the new US administration? Thank you.
Keshav.
Sir, Keshav Padmanabhan from the print. The new US president has been talking about looking at tariffs against Asian countries. Just wanted to check whether the Indian government has or is preparing any sort of this thing in the event that tariffs are placed against India, and whether discussions are on with the US government regarding fairness in trade. Thank you.
सर कृष्णमोहन शर्मा फ्रॉम भारत एक्सप्रेस. सर, ट्रंप गवर्नमेंट के आने के बाद से बहुत सारे इंडियन के दिमाग में ये बात है कि इलीगल इमाइग्रेंट्स को यहाँ पे बाहर भेजा जाएगा. एक सवाल ये है कि क्या जो इलीगल इमिग्रेंट्स को यहाँ पे लाने की बात की जा रही है, जो वहाँ से भेजने की बात की जा रही है, ये हमारे कॉमर्स एंड इंडस्ट्रियल टाइज पे भी इसका असर पड़ेगा, या एमाइकेबली इसको सॉल्व कर लिया जाएगा?
So, Livia, first to your question, any decision on any position of an international, of a country with regard to Cuba is a decision that that particular country has made. We would not like to comment on that. Siddharth, you're regarding a question. You see, the whole world knows, who is promoting terrorism. In India, when we have terror-related attacks, where it is coming from, we all understand the genesis, the root of cross-border terrorism. So in this context, when the whole world knows who's the progenitor of cross-border terrorism, to say that we are trying to politicize something, etc., is totally immaterial. Everybody knows that there are people, there are countries who are responsible for cross-border terrorism, and we call upon Pakistan to take strict action to stop cross-border terrorism. The area, insofar as Ukraine and Russian conflict is concerned, our position has been consistent all along. We stand for peace, and we want there be a peaceful resolution of the conflict through dialogue and diplomacy. Our Prime Minister has said that this is not the era of war. He also said that there is no solution which lies on the battlefield. So that is our approach to the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and we continue to stand by it, that for the resolution to happen, both sides will have to come together and seek a solution through seek a solution through diplomacy and dialogue. Keshav, on tariff matters, see, India-US relationship is very strong, multifaceted, and within that multifaceted relationship, the economic ties are something which are very special. In 2023, we reached a record level of trade in goods and services amounting to US dollar 190 billion. We have established mechanisms between US and India to discuss any matter or trade matters matters related to trade. And we are in continuous dialogue. Our approach has always been to address issues in a constructive manner, which are in keeping with interests of both countries. And I would like to tell you that we remain in close communication with the US administration and would like to continue to work towards strengthening our economic partnership further. कृष्ण मोहन जी, जो अवैध माइग्रेशन है और जो ट्रेड की बात है, ये दो अलग चीज़ें हैं. हमारा रवैया, नीति, पॉलिसी, नज़रिया जो अवैध माइग्रेशन को लेके है वो बड़ा क्लियर है. हम लोगों ने कहा, पहले भी मैंने कहा, हम इसके खिलाफ हैं, इलीगल माइग्रेशन के खिलाफ हैं. खासकर इसलिए भी खिलाफ हैं क्योंकि इसका वास्ता संगठित अपराध से है, कई देशों में होता आ रहा है. और बाहर में अगर कोई अवैध रूप से रह रहा है, अगर उस इंडिविजुअल का हम ये स्थापित कर सकते हैं कि वो भारतीय नागरिक, तो हमेशा तैयार रहते हैं लेने के लिए. तो ये जहां तक है, ये इलीगल इमिग्रेशन की बात हुई. और ट्रेड मसले की बात है, वो ट्रेड मसले हमारे भारत और अमेरिका के बीच में द्विपक्षीय संबंध बहुत मजबूत हैं. दोनों देशों के रिश्तों में एक प्रकार का ट्रस्ट का भाव बहुत ऊंचा है. और आपने देखा होगा, अभी जब विदेश मंत्री की भी यात्रा हुई, उस दरमियान जैसा कि उन्होंने अपने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में कहा, और मैं फिर से दोहराना चाहता हूं कि दोनों तरफ से ये मंशा है कि इस रिश्ते को और मजबूत किया जाए, इसको बड़े पैमाने पर एक बड़े सोच के साथ आगे लिया जाए, और इसमें और भी एम्बिशियस जो शब्द इस्तेमाल किया गया है, the two sides are keen to build a bolder, bigger and more ambitious relationship. And we have Kadambini.
कादम्बिनी शर्मा फ्रॉम एनडीटीवी. सर, अभी विदेश मंत्री जब अमेरिका दौरे पर थे तो उन्होंने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में कहा कि उन्होंने ये बात उठाई है कि वीज़ा प्रोसेसिंग में करीब 400 दिनों का वक्त लगता है यहाँ पर. नॉर्मली, और ये काफ़ी चीज़ों को हैम्पर कर रहा है। तो क्या इसके पहले भी विदेश मंत्रालय ने बात की है, और क्या अभी जब एएम वहाँ पर थे तो उनको इस पर कोई आश्वासन मिला है जल्द एक्शन का?
Enjoy.
Sir, for the first time in over 15 years, a Bangladeshi warship, in this case a frigate, is taking part in a Pakistani military exercise. This one is the naval exercise in Aman. We just like your comments on it.
Okay. Sachin.
So, second part of my question. The BJP and the BSF are meeting for 4 days in Delhi from the 16th to the 20th. Can you tell us what the agenda is and what is likely to be discussed?
सर, मैं सचिन बुधौलिया हूँ यूएनआई से। मेरा सवाल ये है कि अभी चाइना के जो चार्ज जी अफेयर्स ने एक आर्टिकल लिखा है जो तिब्बत में वो ब्रह्मपुत्र पर एक बांध बना रहे हैं, और उसमें उन्होंने अपना जो भी पक्ष रखा है उसको भारत किस रूप में देखता है उनकी सफाई को।
We had Yudhvir, no?
Sir, this is Ubir from the Tribune newspaper. Sir, my question is about this Pakistani ISI officials in Bangladesh. How big threat is it for India?
Okay.
So I'm Amiti from Hindu Business Line. So US President Donald Trump has also threatened Russia with more sanctions if it doesn't take steps to stop its war in Ukraine. So is there a concern that it could have a spillover effect on India's trade ties with Russia, especially purchase of oil?
Okay, Kadambini, let's first come to your question. Visa. हम लोगों ने देखा है कि पिछले कोविड के बाद से वीज़ा को लेके, खासकर अमेरिकी वीज़ा को लेके और भी अन्य देशों के साथ से उसमें काफ़ी समय लग रहा था, और आज भी ये स्थिति कुछ इसी प्रकार की है। तो हम लोग लगातार हालांकि इस बात को वहाँ के सरकार से उनसे सामने रखते रहे हैं कि अगर वीज़ा देने में अगर आप लोगों को सहूलियत पहुंचे तो उससे रिश्तों को, आर्थिक रिश्तों को, लोगों के बीच में जो रिश्ते हैं, सांस्कृतिक रिश्ते हैं, उसको मजबूती मिलेगी। लोग आएंगे जाएंगे तो फिर चीज़ें और तेजी से बढ़ेगी। तो इस बार इस मुद्दे को हमारे विदेश मंत्री ने अपने जो मार्को रूबियो हैं, सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट, नए सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट अमेरिका के, उनसे बातचीत में भी उनके सामने लाया, ताकि हम लोगों ने जैसा दोनों देशों का कल्पना है कि इसको बोल्डर, बिगर और एम्बिशियस एक रिलेशनशिप बनाना है, उसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि इस प्रकार की जो प्रोसीजरल बातें हैं, जो डिलेज हैं, उसको कम किया जाए। Srinjoy, in regard to your question, we always maintained on such questions that we always keep a close eye and follow developments which have an bearing on our relationship, especially in our neighborhood, on a national interest, and we'll continue to do so. The other question regarding the meeting between BGB and BSF, I understand that discussions are underway to hold the meeting. Once these discussions are finalized and there are firmed up dates, etc., we'll share more details with you. सचिन, जो आप आर्टिकल की बात कह रहे हैं, तो उन्होंने अपना पक्ष तो रखा है, लेकिन जो हमारा पक्ष है, हम लोगों ने कहा है कि एक लोअर रिपेरियन स्टेट होने के नाते हमारी भी चिंताएं हैं, खासकर मेगा हाइड्रो प्रोजेक्ट को लेके, और ये हम लोगों ने चीनी सरकार के समक्ष रखा है, और हमारा एक्सपेक्टेशन है, मानना है कि इस पर अमल किया जाएगा। Yudhvir, again, there are developments which are happening in our neighborhood. We keep a close eye, close watch on all these developments. We monitor them and we take appropriate action as required. Amiti, you talked about, relationship of countries between Russia and United States. It is something that they have to look into. As far as energy requirements of India is concerned, we are guided by whatever the condition is there in the market, what the prevailing global situation is, what the market mechanism has to offer, and what is our energy requirement or energy security requirements at this particular point of view. So all these factors will guide our approach to how we engage countries across the world in terms of sourcing our energy requirements. Vishal?
मैं विशाल हूँ एबीपी न्यूज से। मेरा सवाल ये है कि डोनाल्ड ट्रंप और प्रधानमंत्री मोदी की पहली मुलाकात कब संभावित है, और दूसरा सवाल ये है कि पीएम मोदी का जो फ्रांस दौरा होना है वो कितना महत्वपूर्ण है और क्या कार्यक्रम रहने वाले हैं।
Manas?
This is Manas from PTI. It's a fact that there has been some sense of nervousness across the world about Donald Trump's tariff, and I think India is no exception to it. And we impose very high tariff on some of the agricultural products. It is as high as 25%, and there has been consistent US pressure on India to open the Indian market for US agricultural products. So will we be open to just look at it and then lower the tariff? And again, are the two sides talking about a possible meeting between the two leaders?
Okay. Gautam?
Sir, Gautam Bahri, EM has also said in that press conference that Bangladesh situation was also discussed. But I want to know whether it's a bilateral level or also at the quad level, Bangladesh was mentioned or discussed. And secondly, now after this meeting, can we say that India and US are on the same page so far Bangladesh's present situation is concerned?
Ajay?
Sir, good evening. Ajay Banerjee from the Tribune. I seek a clarification to what Ayushi Agarwal had asked at the start of the press conference with regards to Gurupatwant Singh Pannu. Sir, it has been 4 days since Pannu attended Donald Trump's swearing in. So, have we so far taken up the matter since Pannu is wanted in India, his organization is banned in India, US and India are comprehensive strategic partners? Have we taken up or are we in the process of taking up the matter with the US?
Raghavendra?
This is Raghavendra Varma from ZDF German television. My question is about the submarine deal. It's been quite some time, the speculations, and now the reports are that the Mazagan Dots, the German company, ThyssenKrupp, will be getting this contract. Do you have any updates?
Okay. So Vishal, पहला सवाल प्रेसिडेंट डोनाल्ड ट्रंप के भारत दौरे को लेके आपने पूछा है। तो देखिए, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री में और प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप में उनकी आपस में एक कह सकते हैं बहुत वार्म पर्सनल रिलेशनशिप है। और जैसा कि आपको पता है, विदेश मंत्री के दौरा के बाद दोनों देश इस रिश्ते को और मजबूत करना चाहते हैं, एक नई ऊंचाई पे ले जाना चाहते हैं। और इसके आगे मैं ये कहूँगा कि जो हाई लेवल विजिट की जो मैं बात कर रहे हैं, तो ये तब तय होता है जब दोनों देशों को कन्वीनियंट हो, दोनों देशों को इस पे कंसल्टेशन हो और दोनों आपसी मत बने। और इसको लेके मेरे पास अभी कोई अपडेट नहीं है। जब भी कोई अपडेट आएगी तो मैं आपसे साझा करूंगा। दूसरा, फ्रांस के दौरे को लेके है। फ्रांस में एआई समिट हो रहा है। एआई समिट के लिए फ्रांस के राष्ट्रपति ने हमारे प्रधानमंत्री को न्योता दिया है को चेयर करने के लिए, और उसका हम लोगों ने उस इनविटेशन को हमने स्वीकार किया है। उस दौरे को लेके जो और नई अपडेट होंगी वो आपको उससे अवगत कराया जाएगा आने वाले दिनों में। Manas, again, I would be repeating myself. Tariff issues, you said. The world of India-US economic collaboration is an expansive one. We have regular consultation and dialogue between the two countries on trade issues. This dialogue continues. We want to, or we have a constructive approach in dealing with trade issues between India and the United States, in keeping with interest of both countries in mind. So, the new US government has come in recently. Whatever issues are there, trade issues are there, we will talk it out, we'll discuss, and we want to enhance. I talked about the trade, levels of trade, record levels of trade that we have between India and the United States, $190 billion in 2023. We want to further strengthen it, further expand it. Motamji, regarding external affairs meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he discussed bilateral issues. He also discussed global and regional issues. That was so, regional issues were discussed in the ambit of that meeting. I'm not sure if the Quad meeting discussed what you are referring to, Bangladesh issues or not. But on the Quad conversation, we have a readout, a joint press statement gives you as to what the sense of the four partners, how they want to steer this Quad partnership. The fact that it was held on the first day of the incoming presidency, incoming administration, speaks well of the Quad. And as EM had said, the meeting itself was the message. So that is where I will stop. Ajay, anti-India activities, one person may have entered, I don't know the details of it, etc. But as far as anti-India activities of people or individuals are concerned, we do take them up with the United States as and when those issues happen, and we will continue to take them up with the US government. Raghavendra, Germany is a very important defense partner. Defense partnership is growing, expanding. We hope that we'll continue to build on a partnership. And further, I don't have any more details about the commercial interaction, other things that you asked. We'll have to wait. So last, Pranay, Huma, and Siddhant, 1, 2, 3 questions. Please put off your cell phones, please.
सर प्रणय अमर उजाला से हाल के महीनों के अंदर कई चाइनीज नेशनल्स को पकड़ा गया है, खासतौर पर साइबर फ्रॉड के केसेस में, और कई जो साइबर फ्रॉड के केसेस हैं उनको चाइनीज ऑपरेटर से लिंक भी किया गया है। इस मामले पर अभी तक विदेश मंत्रालय ने चाइना सरकार के साथ किन मुद्दों को उठाया है और इसको रोकने के लिए क्या उपाय किए जा रहे हैं, किन केसेस को हम परस्यू कर रहे हैं जो कि क्रॉस कंट्री साइबर फ्रॉड से जुड़े हुए हैं?
Huma?
So I just want to know, with Bangladesh and Pakistan getting closer to each other, what happens to the line of credit that we have given to Bangladesh? Are they using it, or if there's any status report?
Sir, I'm Siddhant from CNN News 18. Sir, first day in office, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in an interview to an American media, referred India as an ally. Is India comfortable being referred as a US ally? Thank you.
Okay. So first, Pranay, साइबर क्राइम को लेके चीन और भारत के बीच में इतने भी द्विपक्षीय मुद्दे हैं, फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी के इस विजिट के दौरान उस पर बातें की जाएंगी। और जहां तक इस साइबर सिक्योरिटी के पहलू का सवाल है, आपने कहा कि ये तीसरे देश में होता है, तो उस बड़े टेक्निकल सा चीज़ें हैं, उसको देखना पड़ेगा किस प्रकार से इसको हम लोग आगे ले जाएं। लेकिन जहां तक दोनों देशों के बीच की सवाल है, जो भी मुद्दे हैं उस पर बातचीत होगी। Huma, see, our approach to Bangladesh has been to maintain friendly ties, a positive approach to Bangladesh to build our relationship. We support a democratic, progressive, and inclusive Bangladesh. We want to strengthen our ties so that the people of India and the people of Bangladesh can prosper. So that is our approach to it. Is independent of what's happening. A particular country has in its relations has to do with other countries in its relationship. Our approach to Bangladesh is very clear. So, yeah, Siddhant. Oh, okay. You had a question. See, India-US partnership has its own salience. We enjoy a comprehensive strategic global partnership, and as came out very clear in the visit of the External Affairs Minister to Washington, both sides are keen to build a bolder, bigger, and more ambitious relationship. What you are referring to, the word that you are referring to has a different connotation in the US. Sometimes they use it in a common parlance, but for that particular alliance to happen, you have to have a treaty partnership. But our own relationship with the United States is very strong. We have a comprehensive global strategic partnership, and we want to continue to build it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Sir, let her start. Good morning. Good morning, friends. It's a great pleasure for us to have the Honorable Affairs Minister of India, Dr. Jaishankar, with us for this brief press introduction. We'll start with PM making brief opening remarks. We will thereafter open to a brief set of questions. Before asking your question, I would suggest if you could please identify yourself and the organization that you represent, and we could then take your questions. Sir, you.
Very good morning to all of you. Yeah, is it better? Yeah. Yes. So, as you all know, I am here as special envoy of the Prime Minister for the inauguration of President Trump and Vice President Vance. I will run through broadly what I was doing in the last 2 days and some of the discussions, share some of the substance of the discussions we've had. With regard to the inauguration ceremonies, I attended the swearing in. There was a church service before that. Evening, there were socials. So it gave me an opportunity to meet a few other people there. I had an occasion to meet the Secretary of State, and since he was confirmed, we had a bilateral meeting yesterday at the Department of State. And there was also a Quad foreign ministers meeting because all the Quad foreign ministers were here for the inaugural. Separately, I met National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. I had met him in December when I came. During the course of my stay, I also had the opportunity to interact with Speaker Johnson, with Majority Leader Senator Thune. I made the acquaintance of 6 cabinet members of the incoming of the administration which has come in. So that's broadly in terms of the activities of the last 2 days. If I were to share my overall impressions, I would say one, it was very clear that the Trump administration was keen to have India present at the inaugural itself, and they're clearly prioritizing the bilateral relationship. Secondly, I think in the meetings I had, it was also evident that they would like to build on the foundation of the relationship, a foundation which the first Trump administration also contributed a lot to building. But President Trump and Prime Minister Modi at that time took a number of initiatives, and we have seen that mature in many ways. And the third impression was with regard to the Quad. Again, a very strong sense that the current administration would reciprocate our desire as well to take the Quad further, to intensify its activities. And I remind you that Quad itself was restarted in 2017 when in the United States Donald Trump was the president. Let me say a few words about the bilateral relationship because I had both in my meeting with Secretary Rubio as well as NSA Waltz, a lot of our discussion centered on the bilateral side. And, in many ways, I think between us and the Trump administration, we approach the world both with a clear-eyed sense of our national interest, belief in the, the mutuality of benefits in any interaction. I think we have a very strong degree of trust today between India and the United States, a very high level of convergence of our interests, and a sense that while we serve our national interests, while we build our bilateral partnership, definitely on regional issues and global issues, there is a lot of good that we can do. So that sense of global good was also very evident conceptually in what we discussed. In terms of the bilateral ties, I think now you do understand this was the first day of the administration, so obviously we had a sort of essentially a broad brush conversation, didn't get too deep into details. But there was, I think, an agreement, a consensus between us that we need to be bolder, we need to be bigger, we need to be more ambitious. The interactions between us should be more intensive. And some of the specifics we discussed, we want to promote the ease of building the relationship. That how do you make business, mobility, education, technology, defense, security, how do you make it easier to do between two countries who would like to do it? But there are the burden of regulations and the complexity of processes. So I did see understanding and a recognition that we need to make this process much smoother than it has in the past, so that it actually enables us to achieve our shared objective, really, of this bolder, bigger, more ambitious relationship. When it came to various regulations and processes, I also flagged some concerns which are very widespread in India about delays in visas. The relationship is not well served if it takes that many days for people to get a visa, because ultimately those visa delays do impact business, they do affect tourism, they in many ways constrain the people-to-people interactions, which is the foundation of our relationship. When I spoke about the strong trust between us, I think we would like to translate that trust more and more into an actual partnership. So whether it's technology, whether it's an industrial partnerships, education, defense, security, really we are open in all domains. I think today the enthusiasm and the levels of comfort are very strong between India and the United States. So it was really a question, I mean, we were competing with each other to say, look how much faster, how much further we can take this relationship and how best we can do that. Just want to say a few words about the Quad as well, and then I'd be happy to respond to any questions or comments you have. For Secretary Rubio and Foreign Minister Iwaya of Japan, this was the first Quad meeting that they were attending. Minister Wong, Penny Wong, and I had done quite a few before. So in a way, it was a sort of a stock taking of the Quad. So each one of us came in with, where we thought we were. But there was a very, I would say, animated exchange of ideas. And the sentiment in the room was very much that, Quad is a collaborative activity. And therefore, it's important to continuously refresh it, to keep doing more and more, to keep adding substance. And I think we ended on the note that this year, India would be hosting the Quad Leaders Summit. So between now and the summit, what are the new ideas, the fresh activities that we could contemplate? So we felt that this was something which our team should get to work to, and we ourselves as ministers committed ourselves to monitoring it and meeting as required. Where the Quad is concerned, I would say the fact that the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting was held on the first day of the administration at work, literally within hours of Secretary Rubio being sworn in. I think in a way the meeting itself was the message. So we all sort of noted that and proceeded accordingly. So this was broadly, what's been the activities of the last 2 days. I'm happy to respond to any questions that you may have. But overall, I again would say that, it's been for me a great honor to represent the Prime Minister and the Government of India at this important occasion. And I do think that, my presence here is not only a statement about the relationship, but has also been a very valuable opportunity to get off to a very early start. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll now take 2 to 3 sets of questions. We'll start with the first. Saurabh, Yashwant, Lalit.
Minister, welcome to DC and a belated happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Minister, you spoke about the trust.
If you could please
Yeah,
identify
Saurabh
your
Shukla from News Mobile. Minister, you spoke about the trust in the relationship, and that was clearly visible in the manner in which the US side recorded red carpet, welcome to you for this inaugural. There is a sense that President Trump, and he's spoken about it many times, about a special partnership with Prime Minister Modi. How soon do you see a summit meeting happening between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, and what agenda is in the works for that?
Okay, sure.
Thank you so much for doing this. Yashwant Raj from INS. I had the same question as Saurabh, but I wanted to ask you if you could confirm or deny Reuters report that the two leaders could be meeting next month, or at least attempts are on to get them to meet next month. And two, in the State Department readout of your meeting with Secretary Rubio, it said Secretary Rubio raised something called irregular migration. I was wondering if there was another phrase for illegal people, Indians coming in illegally through the southern border. Thank you.
Lalit Shah from Media Investor. Just follow up on what Yashwant said. There's news reported out of India that India is working with the Trump administration to deport around 18,000 undocumented Indians. Can you confirm that? Who told who's only deported from the US? And secondly, did any one of those officials of the Trump administration raise the issue which will hold talks in the relationship, the court cases that are going on for some Indian officials and Indian businessmen?
Sorry, about?
The court cases that's going on about Indian officials, former Indian officials, and the Indian businessmen.
Oh, okay. So the first question, observation, Saurabh, yes, I definitely, as someone who's been involved in the relationship for many decades, I would say that the levels of trust are very high, and not just because in a way the trust is a more systemic sentiment. I would also say there's a very visible chemistry between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, and that also, in a sense, percolates through the system and reinforces that comfort and trust that you have referred to. So there was a very visible appetite to, get this relationship moving, to do more, to raise the bar, set bigger goals. So that was the sort of feeling in the room. Now, in terms of your query about and what Yashwant also raised about possible meeting between the leadership, between the Prime Minister and the President. Look, I mean, the administration has just come in. Understandably, at the moment, everybody is focused on the inaugural ceremony. I mean, they're also finding their feet and attending to the priorities of the day. But I mean, clearly there is an interest in taking the relationship forward. Now, the exact mechanics of it, as and when we have something to tell you, we'd be happy to share with you. But I do remind you that the Prime Minister had a very early phone call with President Trump, and that I had come last month and made the initial contact with the NSA. So it should give you a direction in which today the relationship is going. At what point the direction reaches that culminating point, I think we'll have to wait and see. In terms of your second observation, one other issue, Saurabh, you asked about the agenda. Again, there are these broad subjects, let us say defense and security, or skills and education, or technology. But within that, I think there's a lot of latitude, there's a lot of unexploited space. There are new things to do, but there's also the challenge of how do we do the regular things better than we were doing. So I think there was a openness to look at a lot of this, especially, some of our concerns about process issues, delays. I think there was a very positive response, because that's also the outlook of the administration as a whole, that, how do we make governance more efficient and effective. So if you have in the two countries really two leaders who are very focused on effectiveness and the quality and the speed of governance, efficiency of governance, naturally that is something which also percolates into the relationship as well. In terms of the reference you made, Yashwant, to the irregular migration, yes, we had a discussion on a range of issues, and one of the issues which came up was actually mobility of people. Now, we have a position on mobility which is a principal position, applies to all countries. As a government, we obviously are very much supportive of legal mobility, because we do believe in a global workplace. We want Indian talent and Indian skills to have the maximum opportunity at a global level. So at the same time, we are also very firmly opposed to illegal mobility and illegal migration, because you also know that when something illegal happens, many other illegal activities get joined onto it. And it's not, this is not desirable. It's certainly not reputationally good. So we have, with every country, and the US is no exception, we have always taken the view that if there are any of our citizens who are not here legally, if we are sure that they are our citizens, we have always been, open to their legitimate return to India. So it's not a position unique to the United States. I mean, I do understand right now that there is a certain debate going on and a resulting sensitivity which is there. But we have been consistent, we have been very principled about it, and that remains our position. And I conveyed that very clearly to Secretary Rubio. At the same time, I also told him that, look, while we understand all of this, and I also accept that these are autonomous processes, it is in our mutual interest to facilitate legal and mutually beneficial mobility. So as I said, if it takes 400 odd days waiting period to get a visa, I don't think the relationship is well served by this. So I think he also noted that point. So let us see how we take that forward. But while I've seen some numbers, and I'm moving now to Lalit's question here, I've seen some numbers. I caution you about them because for us, a number is operative when we can actually validate the fact that the individual concerned is of Indian origin. So we'll have to see sort of really how that goes, because it has, as I said, the basis of their stay or not able to stay, and the fact that at our end we have to verify that they are indeed Indians, because naturally there are sensitivities involved there as well. On the court case issue, no, the subject did not come up.
Seema, Mr. Chairman, and then Supat.
Mr. Minister, I know it's only 2 or 3 days.
You could identify the organization.
Sorry, Seema Sirohi from the Economic Times. I'm a columnist. How do you read the China policy? I know it's only 2 or 3 days. Given the fact that President Trump has gone beyond what the US law says on TikTok, gone against the US Supreme Court judgment, and wants to cut a deal on TikTok, does it tell you that he is willing to sort of overlook national security concerns? So what's your read so far on China policy? Because from India's point of view, that would be an important policy, right? How he executes it.
Mr. Jed.
Good morning, Foreign Foreign Minister. This is Vishwadadar Jayaraman from News India Times and South Asian Film. What are the primary concerns you are personally hearing from Indian American lawmakers, policy experts, and community organizations? And did you get a chance to convey these concerns to the US officials? And what is your sense on how they are planning to engage with India? And the second question is, as the Prime Minister's special envoy for the inauguration, could you share some key highlights and what aspects stood out to you the most?
So, Pakistan Kanwa from Punjab Post and Third Eye Media. So, my question is not related to today's event. Lots of my colleagues, they have already asked. I will take you back in last year, जब आप अमृतसर में गए थे, तो पंजाब के लोगों ने आपके सामने एक बात रखी थी, ट्रेड विद पाकिस्तान, और उसके बाद आप पाकिस्तान भी गए, और 2 इशू हैं ट्रेड के, और जो पाकिस्तान से ड्रग आ रही है उसके साथ लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की सिचुएशन बहुत खराब है पंजाब में। वहाँ के पुलिस स्टेशन जो है उनकी दीवारें ऊंची की जा रही हैं, और वहाँ के जो रास्ते आप पहले आपको बंद कर दिए जाते हैं। तो इंडियन गवर्नमेंट का इसके बारे में एजेंडे के ऊपर कहाँ ये 3 चीजें, ट्रेड विद वाटर वाटर, थ्रू वाटर वाटर, एंड ड्रग एंड लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, especially in border areas. Thank you.
Prashant.
Prashant Jha of the Hindustan Times. So one question which is beyond the bilateral. How do you have a view on US's sovereign decisions to withdraw from the Paris Agreement, from WHO? Do you see these criticism of multilateral organizations, including the UN? Do you see this as creating a vacuum that other players in the international system could fill in? My second question is on something that the Secretary mentioned in the statement, which was a positive-looking phrase on economic ties Could you give me a sense of the conversation on the economy that you had with him, including trade, and whether there is a possibility of a trade agreement between the two sides, or whether you anticipate punitive measures from the administration and how that came out?
Seema, let me respond to your question. I mean, look, what is the policy of an American administration towards China is either for the Americans to explain or the Chinese to comment. It's not for me publicly to take a position on it. I'm obviously, dealing with the world. We obviously, reflect on various developments. What I can say, as someone who's come here, interacted with, the key foreign policy figures of the administration, certainly, is the positive sentiment they have for our country and for our relationship. If you ask me, okay, go beyond that, the bit I can share with you is, what we discussed during the Quad. And during the Quad, the sentiment was very clear that, the Indo-Pacific is a very crucial region, that it's important, that there is stability there is security there is a respect for law. I think, some of it was very succinctly captured in that statement which was there. But beyond that, another bilateral relationship for me to comment publicly, I don't think really would be appropriate. Regarding Mr. Jayaraman, your question about Indo-American lawmakers, I did encounter. I sort of bumped into Mr. Thanedar at the inaugural ceremony. I think I saw Ami Bera at a distance, but I didn't really have an opportunity because, this visit, one entire day really was focused around the inauguration events, and yesterday on the Quad and the bilateral. So this is not an occasion where I can say anything more because I've not had a chance to spend time with them. On the inaugural highlights, look, I mean, to me, though I have been dealing with this country for more than 40 years, it was the first time I was myself at an inauguration. And obviously, it was something which was very impressive. As I said, I was there at the Rotunda observing the swearing in. And between the prayer service and the social occasions, you got a flavor really of the sentiment or the interaction of various people who are there, their enthusiasm. I mean, what I saw was really a very confident, upbeat, incoming administration. I mean, that feeling that, look, we need to get things done. And where India is concerned, that you are a partner with whom we can get things done, that because there is already a strong chemistry between the president and the prime minister. There is a previous administration with whom, which we were the same at that point of time, that there is that history of working together. So that buoyancy and that confidence which I saw generally, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, the last 48 hours, I mean, it's been an extraordinarily active administration. And not just last 48 hours, they were actually very active even before they actually assumed office. So I think that energy which I could experience, I can tell you in many ways is fully reflected on the Indian side, and we would certainly like to use that to take our relationship to a higher level. सतपाल जी, जो आपका जो प्रश्न जो था ट्रेड विद पाकिस्तान, देखिए, ट्रेड हमने तो बंद नहीं किया, जो किया तो उनके प्रशासन ने जो 2019 में जो निर्णय लिए गए कि भारत के साथ व्यापार नहीं करना, वो उनके साइड से था। तो हमारा जो इस मुद्दा के बारे में हमारी जो चिंता जो थी, शुरू से हमारा हित था कि हमें MFN स्टेटस मिले, कि हम पाकिस्तान को MFN स्टेटस देते थे, वो हमको देते नहीं थे। तो आज पिछले साल के बाद ऐसी कोई पाकिस्तान के साथ बैठ के ऐसी कोई बात नहीं हुई व्यापार के बारे में, ना उनके यहाँ से कोई ऐसा इनिशिएटिव आया है। जो ड्रग्स के बारे में जो आप कह रहे हैं वो तो सबको जानकारी है इसमें कि वहाँ से ड्रग्स काफ़ी संख्या में आते हैं और ये चिंताजनक विषय है। और जो वहाँ जो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, अगर आप पाकिस्तान की लॉ एंड ऑर्डर बात कर रहे हैं या बॉर्डर एरिया के लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, हाँ देखिए जो हमारे यहाँ जो इंटरनल अफेयर्स हैं, आप जानते हैं कि मैं देश के बाहर जाके इसके बारे में टिप्पणी नहीं करता। तो हमारे जो भी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव चैलेंजेस हैं हम निपट लेंगे उसके साथ, ये तो हम पर ही निर्भर है कि हम इसके कैसे रिस्पॉन्स करें। जो आपका जो है प्रशांत, योर क्वेश्चन ऑन what is our reaction? Look, every country has a sovereign right to take decisions, about what are their international commitments and responsibilities. So we can have our respective views on it. I mean, obviously, it's not necessarily identical for countries, but I think that's a decision they have taken. I mean, different countries may have their own view of and their own stance in that regard, but it is their decision. So I leave it at that. On your issue on economic, you asked me give me a sense of the economic discussions. There was a discussion both with the secretary as well as with the NSA. Not in detail again. I mean, please do appreciate. I mean, that we were running a tight timeline. We had also a quad to do, but the overall sense is, look, there are a lot of opportunities here. The US today, in an era of more technology-centric progress, sees, I mean, the messaging I got very clearly was, look, we appreciate the value of India as a partner. There are domains we want to work on. There are systemic things we need to do to sort of optimize collaboration. Obviously, I mean, there will be the economic interests of the two countries. We will sit down and talk about it and discuss that when the moment is opportune. But on this particular occasion, we didn't get into that kind of detail, partly because of the occasion and partly because that is really, trade matters are really for the trade teams to do. On either side, it's not my direct jurisdiction, nor was it those of the people I was meeting. So, but for me, the deeper sentiment was really the takeaway, saying, look, you have your interest, we have ours, we have to harmonize it, we have to get the best out of it. We are very confident that, I didn't get the sense of it being a zero-sum game. I saw it as much more collaborative. And a lot of, I would say, attention on ISET, on semiconductors, on supply chains. I mean, it was much more that than the other issues.
Thank you very much. The Prime Minister has another engagement. Okay, Ms. Poonam, I think got left out. No, last question. Sorry, we have another engagement here. Yes, please. She couldn't answer the questions.
Minister, in your discussions with National Security Advisor Watts and Secretary Rubio, did you touch upon the treatment of minorities in Bangladesh? One. And secondly, in the past few years, there have been a lot of threats to Indian diplomats, and there was the attack on the consulate in San Francisco. Do you feel that this administration will be more cognizant of national security threats?
The first question, yes, we had a brief discussion on Bangladesh. I don't think it's appropriate I get into more details. On the second question, I didn't on this occasion raise those issues, but I do want to say that the arson attack on our consulate in San Francisco is a very, very serious matter, and it is something which we expect accountability, and we would like to see that people who did it are held responsible.
Thank you very much, sir. This brings to close this morning's session. Thank you.